Today, right here, you look like a monster.
You know there's a camera on the party store, right?
If it's gonna be anyways, it's gonna be the brother. He's super crazy.
On March 18, 2017, police were dispatched to a street in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where they found a 50-year-old woman brutally gunned down on the sidewalk. A simple stroke of luck led to solving the case, but no one could have anticipated how dangerous interrogating the main suspect would be. Grand Rapids PD officers were dispatched to Lincoln north of Bridge Street Northwest after they received a 911 call about 4 gunshots heard in the area. There was no mention of whether there was any casualties, but when the officer went to check it out, they found one.
Hello? We're checking on right now. Start AMR, Adam. Hello? 1655, start AMR. On a rush.
1655, SARM code 1. Send us more units as well.
Shit. A lot of blood. Hello? Hey! Hey! Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I don't know, man. Let's roll over. Yep. Coming your way.
Okay.
The ice from the drinks had not melted, so the killer must be somewhere nearby. There was no blood spatter around, no signs of struggle, but after rolling her over, they confirmed that she was indeed shot. The only question is, where were the casings?
I don't have one, dude. I got nothing. Take this backpack off, dude. 34, I'm on Lincoln. Yep, I got it. Watch that right there. I need to put blocks up here, too.
When the police began securing the crime scene, some neighbors came forward with crucial information about the case.
Okay.
Somebody I know. That's my neighbor. Is that my neighbor?
What's your neighbor look like?
I don't know. I have a bunch of neighbors.
Okay, alright. I'm gonna knock around and see what's going on, okay? If you guys think of anything or if somebody else saw something, please let us know.
Empty, so
Those are both empty?
don't bother knocking.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Alright.
The image of Lori Lundberg lying lifeless on a Grand Rapids sidewalk is haunting. A 60-year-old woman, known for her peaceful presence, was gunned down steps from her home. It's a gut punch. The police's frantic response and those unmelted ice cubes in her drink tell us the killer was close, maybe watching. What drives someone to such a cold act? This case isn't just about evidence, but the human cost of rage and the lives shattered in seconds.
Hey, Sarge, man, if I had to guess, he or she, they were probably running this way.
Yeah.
You know, the way they fell and the way their cup fell and, you know, just everything. But
original caller, we got
Nick's going there right now.
3 shots heard in the area.
6. Somebody,
six.
This lady just said 6. Saw nothing.
Which direction?
She said super close, like right here.
Okay. So we got no shell casing?
I got nothing yet.
Okay.
Nope. I was going to walk the sidewalk and try to knock on some doors. So.
The detectives noted that she wasn't robbed, as there was no rummaging through her pockets. There was still no casing around, though, which can mean any of the following 3 things. Number 1, either the shooter was in a vehicle. Number 2, either the shooter was inside a nearby building. Or 3, he or she was just using a revolver.
Okay, so all you heard was 4 shots.
Yeah.
Did you look outside at all?
Yes, I did. I looked
Did you
outside.
see anything?
I didn't. But I know that the front lady here, I think it's that's coming by.
The one with the
So they-
lights on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have,
Is that the people with the bird?
yeah. And
Okay.
they're chickens or something.
Yeah.
I know they normally have it. One time I looked out and I just saw the light off.
Okay, but you didn't see anybody running. You didn't hear anybody screaming. You didn't see any cars driving by or screeching out here?
I didn't.
As the officers canvassed the neighborhood, they were also told of Lori's house, which was just a yard away from where she was found. When the officers made their way to the side of the house, they found something incredibly shocking.
What's up? Why, what's wrong, Phil? What happened? There's a bunch of rifle rounds? Like from today? Get some rounds over here, Adam. They're live?
There were unused rifle rounds just outside the house, out in the open. If they were spent rounds, it would have led to some shooter, but these were dropped by accident. It didn't mean much at the time, but it did draw a big suspicion towards the house and on whoever was inside.
Okay. What, do you live with anybody else?
Yeah, my mother, but she's at work at the moment.
Okay, what's your mom's name? Okay. Do you have anything on you shouldn't have?
I just have a phone on me.
Okay, that's what dispatch called you by?
Yeah.
I'm just going to check, make sure you haven't got any weapons on you,
no
okay?
problem, dude.
Okay. Why don't you step right up here? I know you got socks on, so we'll keep you in the cement here. What's your first name, dear? So why don't we step right up here?
One of the officers at the scene recognized the house and the victim of this tragedy after realizing that he had been here before. He had responded to previous complaints of domestic abuse from this address, in which the abuser was her son.
If it's going to be anyways, it's going to be the brother.
Sure.
He's super crazy.
Is he?
Yeah.
Almost 2 to 3 officers backed up on this suspicion, since the son had priors. When they get closer to Lori's house, they find that there are people inside the house, possibly her family, who have no idea of the tragedy that's fallen on Lori.
I reached another resident of 424. Her name is Phoenix, and she'll be coming out to talk to officers.
Keep your hands up, please. Can you keep your hands up? Thank you. Okay, just keep your hands on your head. You're okay. You're okay. Okay. Nope, you're not in trouble. Why don't you walk down off the porch for me, please, keeping your hands where they are? You can come towards me.
The people inside the house are Lori's daughter, Phoenix, her son, and a friend of the son. Initially, they're surprised at what's going on, but they also cooperate with the officers. The officers have to treat the situation with caution as they already know about the live ammo outside the house.
We heard something go off. We could have been fireworks, you know, it's like crazy, but we weren't really good. We had loud ass music.
Okay. What, where would you guess that loud sound?
I wanted to say that it came from this area right over here. I'm sitting in this window on this side of the house.
Okay. Well, you have Phoenix have a seat in your car.
Okay.
Once we get the other roommate out. Would you have a...
Is it possible that one of you can walk with me inside and
we'll,
get some shoes?
Yeah,
I'm
we'll go
freezing.
get you some shoes. We just want to make sure your roommate's fine when she comes out.
Absolutely.
And then you wouldn't mind these officers just check real quick, make sure.
Oh,
yeah. Just the sound, the shots we had. Okay.
They also arrest the son, who came from the back of the house. During his questioning, he seemed a bit out of breath at the time, something which was quite odd.
Okay. I can call my girlfriend. Oh no, that's fine. Yeah. What? Were you with your girlfriend tonight?
Yeah.
What time did you start hanging out with her today?
I left my house at like 7:30 to go up and get my headphones from my mom. I was angry that my mom took my headphones because I had to ride my ass all the way up on my bike on the hill.
Yeah. That's a hike,
grabbed my headphones, sat in Biggie, waited till 8. Then I rode around as I waited for my girlfriend to get out of work. And I just rode up.
Oh, okay.
My mom said, because I saw like a stretcher, and I was like, I really hope that is my mom on that stretcher, because she's taken a couple of stores in the past couple of years.
Oh, really?
Unlike the sister, he sounded shaky and on edge. For a case which had very little to go on, the son seemed like an obvious suspect. However, after they're apprehended, the officers ran a gun residue test on all three, which...
As the investigation stalls, the case takes a darker turn with Vicente Ortiz's interrogation. What you're about to see is unsettling. Ortiz tries to end his life before questioning even begins. It's a raw glimpse into his guilt and desperation. Why would someone spiral so far? This moment forces us to confront the chaos inside a killer's mind, but it also begs the question, how many lives could have been saved if this pain had been addressed sooner?
At this stage, there were no solid leads. No murder weapon, no surveillance footage, and no clear answers as to why 60-year-old Lori K. Lundberg was senselessly taken from this world. In cases like this, evidence is the cornerstone of any progress, a fact that everyone understands. Yet occasionally, in the rarest twists of fate, the criminal practically falls right into the police's hands. On January 23, 2018, there was a new case involving 17-year-old Andre Hawkins, who was gunned down by 22-year-old Vicente Ortiz. Hawkins was gunned down on 2nd Street between Pine and Lincoln Avenues, and the shooter was apprehended less than 4 blocks from the shooting. What made this case so important is the resemblance this case had with Lori's case. The suspect's gun was a revolver, and the shooting happened just a few blocks away from where Lori was found. Seeing as there could be a connection, the detectives leading the Lundberg case also join in on the interrogation to see if this hunch pans out. At this point, he's about to be interrogated for 2 murders. One that he got caught red-handed, and the other case in which the link is really tough to make unless he confesses. And just before the interrogation starts, he goes out of his way to do something that shocked everyone. This part requires significant censorship, but it is clear from the situation that he was trying to unearth himself. Alone in the interrogation room, he seemed intent on ending things before the questioning could start. Thankfully, the officers overheard the commotion and intervened in time.
Give me that fool. Trying to kill yourself.
Trying to kill yourself, man?
It's not that bad, buddy. I'll take it to work now.
We'll be right back with you, alright?
Right.
If he can do that with a trash bag, then technically he can use a lot of items in the room as a self-harm weapon. So it's important that the detectives do this.
Okay, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. I'm gonna take this chair and you sit on the floor, okay? The detectives will be back with you shortly. Just sit down on the floor.
Take it easy, man. Take it easy, all right?
With a half-empty room and an officer at the door, there's no way he can do something that is of key importance in the Andre Hawkins case. In the initial part of the interrogation, he plays a little hard to get. He doesn't respond to the questions, he acts forgetful, and he takes a long time to understand his rights. The detectives can't assume that he understood them, which is why they sort of spoon-feed that information to him. At this point, the detectives have already talked to his mother, who has told them a handful. She told them about how he had a girlfriend and how he was upset when he found out that she was cheating on him. Or at least that's what she was told.
I had a long conversation with your mom. She's not in a good way. I don't doubt for 1 second that you understand what I'm telling you. Talk to a lot of people. You're not an unintelligent person.
How long ago did you guys break up? You guys were obviously very serious with each other. You had some goals written down there in your bedroom closet about what your goals together were going to be for the new year.
So can you kind of maybe just start last night? It's probably about 4:30, 5 o'clock right now. Okay.
You said it's 4:30, 5 o'clock right now?
In the afternoon. So we're talking about like last night. 7, 8, 9 o'clock p.m.
I'm just trying to think about what I did yesterday.
Sure.
I remember basically, like, we was texting and stuff, me and her.
Mm-hmm.
I know I was like, we were like not on good, like, we were on a good term, like, not to the point where if I seen her, I'm like angry at her or anything. It's just, I have that, it would be at that point where it's just like I feel some way. And, like, I'm just not about to just, like, I'm not gonna just start yelling and screaming for no reason.
It's a good choice.
But it leaded off with anger. I don't know what we was talking about, but I know, like, the conversation, like, ended, and I didn't hear from her for a while, and, like, I know I was calling for a second. I probably called a couple times.
Just so I want to make sure who we're talking about. Who are we talking about that you're having problems with?
What was her name?
She's your girlfriend, right?
It's really hard for me to remember, like, what all happened yesterday to whatever, like, got me in this situation right now. Because I feel like, yeah, I know you guys are detectives, and whatever happened is serious. Like, it gotta be serious because I'm sitting in front of y'all. And I had to go to the hospital.
Right, we knew about that. Do you have a little run-in with the police dog?
Only thing that I was just about to say is that.
Can I refresh your memory about a couple things? That'd be okay. Do you remember being over on 2nd Street last night?
I really don't.
All right. Because a lot of people on 2nd Street remembered you being over there. Less than a day ago, not that long ago. I can imagine that having to tell a story out loud about something like this is not easy. I've never had to tell a story like this. So it can't be easy to do that. We both know that you wouldn't be sitting here if we didn't have a lot of reason to have you down here. Here's what I don't want to do, Vicente. I can lay out piece by piece of the reasons or the different elements of this whole thing that puts you right in the middle of this incident.
You lost me.
I know, it's a bad wording on my part. I can tell the story for you, but I'm not sure that's going to help you. Truth be told, just man to man, you and me sitting right here, and I want to hear a story that I can take with me to the prosecutor's office where I can tell them, Vicente fucked up, but he's not a monster. And here's why. Because he told me the truth about these things. He has remorse about these things.
Do you know what remorse is?
He acted like a man about these things. They're not going to go away. I think your story needs to be told and heard and listened to by somebody other than me. And I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to take your story and tell my boss, tell the court, tell the judge about you. Because what it looks like right now for you is not good at all. Does that make sense to you?
It makes sense, but why do I look like a monster?
And if you think this is tough to watch, imagine what the two interrogators are going through, listening to a broken record player constantly repeating, "I don't know." So we'll skip over to when his memory starts briskly walking and gives us a darker insight on what happened that night on 2nd Street.
Yeah, I got mad.
You got mad on 2nd Street?
I got mad at home.
When you're texting? Okay. So did you walk immediately over there?
Yep.
What happened when you got over there?
when I got over there, only thing that I remember is that I started running towards the car.
Whose car was it?
I don't know whose car it was. Honestly, I don't even remember what kind of car it was, what color it was.
Do you remember who was in it? Because I believe you probably do remember.
She was in there. That's why I was mad. I remember I came up to the car and I pulled her out. And I was mad because she was doing something that she wasn't supposed to be doing. She was in the car like smoking and stuff like that. And she tells me that she doesn't smoke. She tried to prevent me from smoking.
Like smoking weed?
Smoking weed, smoking period.
Okay.
I was trying to talk to her, and I was basically saying like, why, like you don't see what you're doing, like to piss me off. Like you're clearly like out here doing something that you're not supposed to be doing. When you told me you was just cleaning your room and stuff like that. Like, yeah, you at home, like, but you like out here smoking and basically hiding stuff from me. So.
But you're also more mad about the boy being there.
Yeah, because she used to hang around him when I first met her, and at first I was basically saying when I first got with her, I was saying like, that's your friend. Like I really can't bump into the middle of that. Like jump into your life and tell you who and not to talk to. Like.
He claims that after the disagreement argument, he found her sitting in the car with some friends and a quote-unquote boy. The boy is our victim of the case, Andre Hawkins, a simple friend to his girlfriend. But, of course, knowing Ortiz's anger issues, he assumed the worst. What happened next is the key detail, the one part that he's not confessing. After dilly-dallying around this part, he finally spills the truth about what happened as he saw her in the car.
I came back to the car. Yep.
What happened?
I just never expect me to do some shit like that.
Yeah, that's what we've heard. All right.
So what's going through your mind as you're coming back up to that car? The anger, jealousy thing kind of getting the best of you?
I was so mad. I was just so mad.
Were you more mad at her, mad at that guy? Who were you mad at the most, would you say?
I really can't say it was like a level of certain type of mad between everybody. I basically say I'm like the same amount between everybody or something.
Sure.
But I was mad. I really was.
What happened?
And I got in there. I don't know why I said I got in there. I came back, and yes, I shot him.
How many times do you remember shooting?
I shot him.
We know. What in your mind was like, what made you decide to shoot him?
Because I'm just protective over her.
Yeah. Jealousy. Jealous of somebody else being with her, would that be a fair statement? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
And that's the thing. I wouldn't blame you if you looked at me like a monster.
Yeah. We're looking at you like people we've dealt with before that have emotional issues and sometimes can't control their anger and let it get the best of them. And jealousy is a tough thing for a normal person. If someone has somebody that they feel like is cheating on them or whatever, or leaving them, and
he confesses to shooting.
Ortiz's confession to killing Andre Hawkins is chilling. A 17-year-old boy just hanging out lost his life because of jealousy and unchecked anger. It's heartbreaking to hear Ortiz admit he shot him over a misunderstanding with his girlfriend. This isn't just a crime, it's a tragedy of emotions spiraling out of control. The law will judge him, but what about the systems that failed to stop this rage before it claimed a life? The detective's hunch about Ortiz's link to Lori's murder is a masterclass in persistence. They're not just chasing a confession, they're unraveling a pattern of violence. Lori's death wasn't random. It stemmed from a petty dispute and a court date Ortiz couldn't let go. It's infuriating to think a 60-year-old woman's life was cut short over something so small. This case shows how thin the line is between anger and irreversible harm.
And as soon as they bring up hints about the Lundberg case, he starts to make the connection almost instantly.
Well, here's the weird thing about me talking to you today. I was already looking to talk to you.
What do you mean?
I had some other stuff going on, the prosecutor, on another case I was working on. We're getting ready to talk to you anyway.
About what?
Well, you had a situation in March. Right after you went to court for your situation over there on Lincoln Street. You know what I'm talking about?
Are you all trying to put that on me?
I'm not trying to put anything on you, but listen, okay? A lot of things have come to light in the last few months. Like a lot of times when things happen in areas and people get themselves in situations and other people come forward, and it's just how things work, okay? And like I remember when we talked about earlier about the bullets and how they have microscopic things on them, little tiny grooves, and they can say what gun a bullet came from. Okay? And I know you guys had a problem in the street over there, not long, shortly before she was killed, right?
I didn't have nothing to do with it.
Where she come out and yelled at you, freaked out on you.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Something about, if I remember correctly, it's been a little while since I talked to that person who had seen you guys have that problem. Something about, maybe if I remember correctly, something about you selling drugs to my kids or bringing weed in, whatever, something of that sort. I mean, she was an emotional alcoholic and had a pretty bad temper of her own. Is that a fair statement? What, do you remember what her nickname was around the neighborhood there, that some people called her? Do you ever remember anybody calling her the bird lady? So one time she used to walk around with a bird on her shoulder.
Yeah, I remember she had birds, yeah.
She had a bit of a drinking problem.
According to the reporting officer Justin Liu, on the night of the incident, he made contact with the Quick Stop nearby for the CCTV footage. The clerk told them the victim's name, where she lived, and that, now quoting, she had some male subjects living with her that were causing issues. He also stated that he thought that Lori had a personal protective order against one of them. Now, all we need is a confession to wind these two cases up. But of course, Ortiz will do what he's been doing this entire interrogation. Play hard to get.
I know your friend stayed there. I know all about that. Yeah. Okay. I also know when she came over and yelled at you, you got out of the passenger side of that car and pulled the gun out on her during the daytime. No, you didn't do anything to her. You didn't hurt her. Right? I'm not lying. You know it's true.
That's not true.
That part's not true?
Yeah, me pointing a gun at her.
Well, pull the gun, flash the gun, however you want to say.
I didn't have a gun, period.
Okay. All right.
Cause I remember the time when you were talking about. She came out that house and she started yelling at me about that incident that happened.
Correct.
And I didn't have no gun,
okay.
And I wasn't hopping out of a car. I was coming towards the car, and I hopped in the car, and we drove off.
Right afterwards. No, she did.
I wouldn't say I threatened her.
Well, she believed you did, and she told the clerk you did, and the person that watched it take place sure sounded like a threat to them.
No.
And I'm just telling you. Okay, they perceived it as, maybe you didn't, and she can be an abrasive person. I know a lot of people, I dealt with her in the past. I know she can be an abrasive person, and she's a mean drunk. I know that. Lori Lundberg. There's a lot of our police officers that dealt with her over the years. She was a mean drunk. Her own kids would tell you that. And she had mental problems. And it's never good when you have a person that has that kind of mental issue that she dealt with, that drank with it. That's never a good thing. It takes, spirals things worse than it normally is. Okay.
Before AJ gets too far into this, you know what you're getting charged with today?
You guys put me for murder.
And here's the key thing about stuff like this, okay? You've been around court a little bit. You haven't been enormous amount of contact with court. When you have court and you have stuff, major things going on criminally, you always want everything to go together. If you have a few things going, you want it to be one package. That way you got one thing, you're dealing with the judge, and you're not getting hit here, and then that one's on top.
Basically, you're saying that I had something to do with Lori.
I'm saying you killed Lori Lundberg. I'm not saying that. I know you did. Okay. And I don't think it's that different. It's a different situation with the jealousy thing. But I know how she is, and I can tell by certain things. You know, there's a camera on the parts store, right? That shines right down that sidewalk.
Vicente, you're almost, it sounds really crazy, but you're almost a little bit at an advantage to his line of questioning. Why do you think that would be?
You said I'm at an advantage from
You almost have a little bit of an advantage in this situation. But you just admitted to a murder, right?
Which we already knew you did, but...
What y'all talking about with,
You've already admitted to that. We can prove it. There's a lot of evidence in that case, a lot of witnesses. I think probably what AJ is getting at is what you don't want to have happen is this case get down the road a little bit, and then he springs the other one on you. And now you've got two problems, both kind of like in their own little world. Rather than an opportunity may present itself like right now, where there's a possibility to blend these two.
So basically what y'all telling me to do is...
No, we're not giving you advice.
I'm just telling you to be truthful.
Yeah, I'm sure that to be truthful and basically say, like, I made it to one murder. Okay. About Lori's situation, you saying if I don't admit to it, it's just gonna come up in the future.
It most likely will.
That's what you're
because that's how the nature of it is. If we can get through it today, it can all go as one big thing over there, packaged together, and they can deal with one thing, one big thing together. You know what I mean? Otherwise, what happens in these kind of situations, you're already going to be locked up on the other one. They won't be in a rush to charge it. They'll just do further stuff, and then they'll charge
the gun.
And what I'm saying is if you tell us some bullshit lie about some other dude that may have done it, and it's not true, we're going to figure it out eventually. And then come back at you with more problems.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be a whole separate thing again, and you don't need that. So how did it go down?
I just started walking down the street, so I did it. It was a lot going through my mind. She bitched and yelled at me. And I was at the point where it was just like, I'm already going through a lot. Like, cause again, I was going through a situation and I was already riled up.
What did, I've heard through people that I've talked to that you were upset about, you had court earlier that month, correct?
What do you mean?
You had court on that case with Lori Lundberg earlier that month, correct? Like,
yeah, but what are you getting at?
I've been told by people, because we've talked to people. You might not know people we've talked to, but we've talked to people.
Yeah.
And we've been told you were upset about having to go to court, and you felt you were kind of wrong, that you shouldn't have been charged in that case. Is that correct? Does that sound correct to you? And was that part of your pissed off at her, and then she goes and yells at you in the street? Was your court date before you got in that confrontation in the street, or was it after that? Do you remember?
It was after my court.
It was after your court date?
Yeah. It was after my court date. I'm sorry, she started yelling at me and stuff like that. I don't know what it was that... I don't know what it was that she threw at me, but she got mad, she started cussing me out, and I basically was already mad and stuff like that, and I had that gun on me. And basically,
so you're talking about the time on the sidewalk when you shoot her that she threw something at you, is that what you're saying? Or are you saying the time that she confronts you out by the car?
no, the time that she confronts me out by the car, that
Okay.
I didn't have the gun on me. I didn't point no gun at her.
Did you make a comment about a gun to her? I'll pop a cap in your ass or something similar to that? I don't remember the exact term the person told me and kind of what she told the clerk, but it was something similar to that.
I know what you mean. It was the guy that I was with. He said that he had a gun in the car and to tell her, and he was basically like trying to get her. Then her.
But you had the highway in between you there. How did you get to her house?
No, it's like my house is over here.
Yep.
So it's like come through there.
Come through the alley, go down Lincoln, go to the highway.
And that little curve that goes like that going under the highway.
Okay, you go that way. So you go around kind of the west of.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So you're walking down the alley here. When you first see her, are you still in the alley or are you on the sidewalk?
What do you mean, see what?
When you first see Lori. When you first see her and notice her out there that night. Do you see her? Are you in the alley still or are you walking down the sidewalk?
Yeah, I'm like walking like from the alley.
Okay.
And
almost to the sidewalk, is that?
Yeah, almost to the sidewalk, and she's coming this way, and when she sees me, that's when it's just like, get off of my street, whoop-de-whoop, and stuff like that.
Where are you carrying the gun on you that night? Where are you carrying the gun on you that night?
Where was I?
Yeah, did you have it in your waistband?
Same place.
Same place?
Yep.
Same coat?
I think...
Because there's not a lot of coats that have room, because that's not a little tiny gun. That's got a decent little barrel on it, so it's not a lot of pockets fit that gun. Good.
Get back in a minute.
You know what I mean? I've put guns in different spots. I mean, when I did undercover stuff, so I know certain guns fit in certain pockets, you know what I mean, and certain don't. Yes, sir.
I'm hoping you're not really believing that I did that, but...
Ortiz confesses to shooting Lundberg because he was frustrated about his court appearance. He had a prior disagreement with Lundberg because she evicted one of his friends from her house, and he assaulted her at some point after that. He was charged with a misdemeanor for the assault. Remember that personal protective order that she was getting against him? That was Ortiz's reason for showing up in court as well. Instead of facing the deed, he kills her and skips the court hearing, because of which he was charged with failure to appear. On the 14th of March 2019, he was charged with 4 counts, including open murder, and was sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole.
2 lives lost: Andre, a teenager with dreams, and Lori, a woman who deserved peace. Ortiz's life sentence feels like justice, but it doesn't erase the pain. These weren't just crimes, but failures of empathy, moments where anger won over humanity. As we watch this, let's ask ourselves how we will stop the next Ortiz. How do we healthy rage before it destroys more families? This case stays with you, demanding reflection.